Peterson, one of your hosts, and you're listening to the NerdEXP podcast. I'm here with the editor, Guillermo.
Oh, here.
I'm here with Mr. Perfect Attendance, Drew.
Hello.
And the ghost of Edgar. The point of all this, to start a conversation and help you level up your nerd IQ. We do that by talking about comics, movies, games, television, and going through a detailed topic of the week discussion. This week we'll be talking about Dragon Con. As always, we're going to start off with listener questions. We have a question that comes from a loyal listener, Edgar. He says, hey, did you guys hear that Amazon Prime is going to pick up The Tick? And I say, no, and I personally don't care.
I
never
never watched The Tick.
Well,
Sorry,
here's
Edgar.
a peculiar thing. Now it's it's older. What were we talking, like late 90s, early 2000s?
I mean, it's an old show that aired on Fox that had like half a season.
And then they made a cartoon out of it.
I thought it was reversed, but yeah.
Oh, it was a cartoon and then they made a TV show out of it?
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
It had Patrick
Warburton.
Yeah, and he's the main guy. And then, is he old now, though? I mean...
He still sounds the same.
Yeah, but he's supposed
There's a
to
lot of
wear the
voice for it.
costume and stuff, right? So I guess there must be some kind of following for this. Not. I guess none 3 out of 4, because I think then it said he watched it, right?
I mean, he was the one.
He was
the one
excited.
to talk about this. Tick was based off of a comic. It was always kind of campy and silly. He's a superhero, not necessarily the best superhero in the world, but kind of trying to be the blue collar guy, making ends meet, doing a good job. Cartoon was very similar. TV show had a cult following and then kind of failed off.
Is there a comic strip that this is based off of, or is it made for
book.
TV? There's a comic book?
Yeah.
Is it a Marvel or DC?
No, it's somebody else. Don't put me on the spot.
It's...
That's how we help you level up your nerd IQ. That's right. By giving you questions that you can Google and research.
That's right.
Sorry.
So
I'm prepared. It was a question.
I guess, again, going through the recurring theme that it seems that internet TV is starting to get more relevancy. They're picking up the shows. They're going after the ideas that I guess some of the studios might be turning down and then making them available. So it should be pretty good.
Everybody's trying to catch up to Netflix.
And I mean, it's exciting for the fact that, these are some kind of shows that we talk about that, get a pilot and then they never get made, even though they already had a pretty good idea. So maybe the internet is where some of these, not crazy popular shows will live, but there'll be an audience for it.
Episodes written back in the 90s that were never made. So...
that would be
save
great.
Amazon a little bit of money.
If they made them now with like their 90s references.
Yes. That'd be pretty good.
So, I hope you enjoyed that part, Edgar, wherever you are. But talking about streaming, Netflix, the king of streaming, has already paid Fox for the rights for Gotham from now until the show ends, before the first episode even airs. I think that's a huge risk. I mean, the show might be great, could be crap, but I mean, I guess it is DC, and it is comic books. Comic books are hot, so maybe it's just a calculated gamble.
I wonder if Marvel cares, because I know Marvel has series with Netflix.
I mean,
is that going to be
Arrow,
weird for them? Or?
Arrow's on Netflix. I mean, Netflix is always kind of bipartisan.
Yeah.
So to me, this seems crazy. The fact that they paid $2 million per episode, and they're not gonna get anything out of it for commercials. Like, I would have understood like Hulu picking this up, or somebody that's still gonna get some money back. This is straight up Netflix dominating potentially be a good idea.
No one else will now have it. I'm assuming, right? Only Netflix.
Right. I mean, that's what
only
it is.
Netflix.
So, but I'm wondering if it's gonna be like on a if it's going to be when season 1 finishes, then it goes on Netflix, or is it going to be as the episodes happen?
It's going to be standard. They say that basically you're not going to see an episode of Gotham on Netflix like a year from now. Like for September Netflix, they just announced some of the 2013-14 seasons are going to be available this month, and that's about the time frame you can expect Gotham season 1 to be available, September 2015. So I mean they've definitely wrote a check for this, and they're not going to see a dividend for a year. But I had no idea. Like this was 1.75 million, and this also came out the same week that or time frame that Netflix announced they bought Blacklist for $2 million per episode. It never occurred to me that Netflix paid this much per episode for these shows.
It's ridiculous.
Netflix is a worldwide beast. I mean, we're only exposed to the American side, but Netflix is humongous everywhere else. They got all sorts of regions. They're buying into local, for example, like, the only reference that I can bring that I'm exposed to, like in Colombia, they have Netflix Colombia, and they have bought the rights to, like, what's primetime TV over there in Colombia. It's only available on Netflix. And they've done that, I mean, in so many other countries, Brazil, like Latin America, it's Netflix. And it's not like, Netflix Latin America. It's Netflix to whatever country there is. So that, I mean, they have to be getting some great revenue.
I just didn't realize that all of our $10 added up that much per every
insane.
show.
It's insane.
So, and the thing is, like, and I hope Netflix isn't listening, I pay them more. Like, if they were like, oh, rate's going to be $15, I wouldn't cancel it. I would keep it up.
Well,
like,
you got to look at this. For the last 2 years, around November, they have raised prices continuously for the last two years. I think they've done it. It's only $2 at a time, but those $2 is what allows them to just go out after these big names and go after it.
And I read not too long ago they were testing something in small little test markets, like a new where you can pay extra to stream to more devices. Like now that they're restricting people on 2 devices, they're now offering a 4-device subscription.
I think that's
where you
available.
Can pay more.
Yeah, I think that's available. It's like an extra $10 that you pay, or $6 that you pay, and then
went wide.
Which I was fine with. People were legitimately stealing from Netflix. I mean, this was fair of Netflix to say. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they could be allowed to be limited to one. Like you have one subscription,
one person at a time,
one device at a time.
Fair enough. For families, it makes sense, though. I mean, now that they have so much content for like kids. It makes sense that your kids can be watching and you can be watching. So, that's a feature that's available. I mean, my family has that. We have the.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah, so. That's. I mean, good for Netflix. And the pattern that I'm also seeing is data, like storage. It's a it's not a commodity item, but it's a booming market right now in the industry that I work with. We're seeing data centers to house the servers for this kind of companies going up left and right. I mean, they're buying warehouses, buying like farming fields, and they're just putting buildings. A strategy that some of these companies are doing is they go and buy abandoned mines from mine companies, so that mine companies go and mine all the minerals out, and all we got is now underground holes. Well, those underground holes, who cares if they overheat? Most of them are already in cold places anyways. So data centers, that's like perfect for data centers. They're not obstructing anybody. They're already underground, so there's crazy markets going up, and I think we're seeing that. I mean, you get the Netflix going cloud-based.
So the cloud's underground?
The cloud is underground in the majority of them. Yep. It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty hardcore, though. I mean, how you think of most of these secret bases and secret operations underground. It's pretty interesting that these guys are the ones that are going after those. So,
moving on to games, Nintendo announced a new Nintendo 3DS. Nintendo does announce multiple products: the 3DS, then the 3XL, then the 2DS. Those were all basically the same system, just configured differently. This device is going to be this sounds so dumb, new 3DS. That's its name. That's what it is.
That's the name of it.
That's its
new 3DS.
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now, it's going to have a second analog stick, but it's not a full analog stick. It's almost like a little nub, almost the size of like a select button. But it's going to have
it's kind of like the
radial
mouse nub on some laptops.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's going to have more.
But it does actually move.
It's going to have more graphics in it. Like it's gonna like games that chugged on the old 3DS are gonna play better. They've already announced that a Japanese RPG, Xenoblade, is going to be new 3DS exclusive.
It's the Wii, the game they released for the Wii, Xenoblade Chronicles. They're releasing on the new 3DS. It's the first port for that, I guess.
So it's a portable with Wii graphics. So the 3DS was up to Nintendo 64 standards. And so I guess maybe this one is in the GameCube Wii realm. Maybe somewhere in between.
I don't know if it's that much better, but it is better. I didn't look into the specs.
And they're still pushing this 3D.
The screen's brighter and less blurry, they said. Like the 3D, they've made the 3D better.
I mean, they made a lot of graphical enhancements. The 3D is better. It suffers from motion blur, not as much. The battery life is substantial. But I mean, at the end of the day, classic Nintendo.
This is what upsets me. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm upset, but like what gets me is that, which I think I may end up having to buy one of these, is that the new 3DS is going to work with the Amiibo, the little action figures that they're selling.
Okay.
So, and that's not going to work with the current 3DS out now. So that's why I'm like, that was the one thing. I was like, shit, I could have gone without any of that other stuff except for that.
As far as design now, has the 3DS always had those 4 buttons?
Mm-hmm.
It always has 4 buttons, or is it just AB?
No, it's ABXY.
Yeah, it's
ABXY. Okay.
And that's nothing. DS has
they did,
2 shoulder buttons, 1 on each side.
Okay.
So a total of 4 to be basically like a dual shock or any modern day control. I mean, for all sensibilities, this feels like a new console or like a 3DS 0.5.
Yeah.
But they're still trying to keep it in that DS family. I mean, I already go to Target and there's a sign that says, buy a 2DS, plays 3DS games. Like, what are they going to do even now? Like, with new 3DS, you can play new 3DS games and old 3DS games, but you can't play your new 3DS games on your old 3DS.
Yeah.
But I bought this 6 months ago. It's a 3DS XL. Yeah, that's the old one. This is the new one.
Perfect time for Christmas, man.
I mean, considering the amount of games that people play on it, I don't think it's too crazy. The 3DS XL has been out for years now. And I mean, I got it late. I just got mine last year, but it had been out a while.
But still
before
a year since you got it.
I mean, that's not that much different than a new console. I agree, it's weird.
Good move by Nintendo.
I
think in that market, in the I guess portable gaming market, their only true competition is iOS game, like mobile device, like iPads and phones.
Poor Vita. Yeah. But no, you're right. Nintendo does not care what Vita's doing.
No, so
Sony barely cares what Vita's doing.
Right.
So.
Nintendo owns that market. They can keep renewing their line as much as they want to, and they're still going to get the sales.
I think that I think this is going to be a consumer problem. Like, it's not going to be like a nightmare. There's going to be fan outcrying, petitions and stuff. But I think there are going to be a lot of confused consumers. If people didn't realize that the Wii U was a new console, they're not going to understand what a new Nintendo 3DS is. So, I don't know.
I hope they don't call it a 3DSu. They also did move where the game goes in as well. It's now, I think, in the bottom.
Why the heck are they still using games?
And the what is micro SD now instead of SD?
Okay,
2 minor things.
Sounds like a new console, practically. I mean, they should just make it.
Yeah, but it sounds like a new console that they're like, well, we have new tweaks here that we can do here, and we can roll it out quick. We can make a quick buck on it.
No, that's what they need is a quick buck,
and that's exactly what they need. This got posted. Their quarter financials closed again lower than expected or lower than projected. They did really well on the video game selling part, but their consoles, again, it's dragging. So they needed some upside immediately. I think this was their upside.
I think, and along with that, I think the amiibo figures are going to be a huge upside. You probably already know, Drew. I'm pointing. That's great radio. But Guillermo, do you know how much the amiibo figures cost?
No idea.
What would you guess?
Based on, they look a little bit better than what's out there for what's that?
Skylanders
and
Disney Infinity.
Disney Infinity, $20 each.
Sold. I'm going to make a huge profit off Guillermo. They're going for $12.99. Is what
All
they're
right, so
paying.
then they're placing them competitively with what's out there.
And I've seen some internet chatter, just kind of nonsensical saying, but people kind of complaining $12.99. That's so expensive for DLC, but it's not so expensive for a figure. I think it depends on how you wrap your head around. Why are you purchasing this?
I mean, look at Disney with their minifigures, with their, I guess, Mickey Mouse shapes. I can't remember what the actual name is, but it's like a Mickey Mouse body, and they wrap different characters on it.
Yeah.
I think they're called minis, Disney minis, and that's a huge market. And I mean, they sell, just retail. They start at $12.99. There's some that are $9.99, but their main ones, their main lines is $12.99 and up. Mm-hmm. And all this thing is it's a Mickey shape with a sticker on it. Some of them are painted and whatnot, and there's a huge market for that stuff.
I mean, I don't have a Wii U or 3DS or new 3DS, but if somebody gave me an amiibo figure of Mario or Zelda or Link, I'd be like, that's cool. I'll put it on my bookshelf.
Okay.
It's also, they're supposedly going to work among many games. So you're not buying just one game or one game and a sequel. It's going to be Mario Kart, Smash Brothers.
That's pretty cool.
Whatever's in the future, So that's a decent price for that.
I think that Nintendo has all intents and purposes of doing what you said. But I also believe that Nintendo thought they were going to support the Power Glove and the Super Scope and the Wii Fit Balance Board and a million other peripherals. I think this will be a flash in the pan. Yep, we sure did try, but I don't know if it will actually get as much support as they currently say they will.
Good enough for Nintendo. They need it. Oh,
no.
Good to hear.
I mean, we reported. We talked about last week the Mario Kart DLC, and I know Edgar and I have both already purchased or pre-ordered the Mario Kart DLC and got the new colors or whatever. So, and I'd buy Amiibo to add stuff to my Mario Kart.
Sounds good.
Good enough.
Sony has announced a new phone, the Xperia Z3.
Yeah, so in the craze of all the mobile, September, it's usually the end of quarters and beginning of new quarters for a lot of companies. So that's where they save, what they're, to announce what their main market share is going to be and what products they're going to offer. So companies like Apple, Samsung, Sony, around September is when they release their big mobile lines. The big announcement, today was the Samsung Note S4 or Samsung Note 4, new tablet base and phone that looks a phablet. And then Sony, I think it was earlier in the week, they also announced their Z3, which is along the lines of their phones. It doesn't have a street date yet, but it's been announced to be released soon. The cool thing about this phone, and we'll get to it why we're talking about it in this section, but some of the cool features, it has a 20 megapixel camera, so it's just as good as any other camera that's out there. It has a lens, pretty good lens. The body itself of the cell phone is waterproof, and you can take it with you underwater. So those are the cool features. Size-wise, it's just as big, pretty much as an iPhone 5, and that's their compact model. Pretty thin. It runs Android-based. The cool thing, something that caught their attention, or my attention, and why we put it in this category of the games, is the ability that part of this phone, you're going to be able to get an adapter for your PlayStation 4 DualShock controller and put your phone as the monitor and be able to play your PlayStation 4 from your phone as long as you're on the same local Wi-Fi as your PlayStation 4. So it adds that, I guess what we previously discussed before we started recording with Chris, is that the Vita had a similar feature where you can just stream pretty much the screen. It will dumbify the graphics, but it will still be just, you don't need a TV to play these devices. So that's something cool. I definitely don't think, if I was to get this phone, it wouldn't be for that feature, but it's a pretty cool bonus. The fact that you can do it.
Yeah, I agree. Bonus, but I'm not going to buy a new phone because of it. I'll wait till see what the iOS. See what the Apple 6 looks like.
Yeah.
See how fat it gets, and then kind of make a decision.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that area right now.
I mean, it's obvious. I don't think it's for sell the phone. Didn't sell Vitas, so
Yeah.
it would make a huge difference.
I didn't even know Sony had a line of phones.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool phones. I mean, they're cool looking.
They look cool. I'm always interested, especially like the waterproof and stuff. Like, I'm a child. Like, I put my phone in a giant brick case because I'm afraid I'm going to drop it and hurt it. So, like, if a phone can start either taking more abuse on its own, and I don't have to do that, that's always a huge plus.
Sure.
And then Tokyo Game Show kind of going on. Sony announced a huge slew of new games and release dates. But one that kind of caught my eye, a lot of RPGs, Bloodborne, Tales sequel, but Persona 5 was originally announced as a PS3 exclusive, and they decided to move it to the PS4, so it's going to be PS3 and PS4, kind of making this, the PS3 is done. I mean, Xbox One came out, Microsoft pulled all games for the most part. I think that, I think this might be the last, this is the last hurrah. You'll see some cross-platform stuff, but I don't know. Throw away your PS3s.
Yeah, you keep using it as your Blu-ray player, because those aren't changing. Those are some of the greatest Blu-ray players that you can get.
That's what we got at my house.
And if you have PS Plus. And if you have PlayStation Plus, then you'll still toss 2 free games at you every month. So,
I never have activated my PlayStation Plus. I just have it there, ready to go. I don't think my PlayStation here at this house has seen a game being played in. I think I only used it for movies. Pretty sad. Something that I think we just want to make a brief mention. I haven't played it, but the new Madden 2015, big buzz, big market for this game. It's always the best seller for EA. It competes worldwide with FIFA, but think about the audience. But they compete year to year for sales. Something that caught my eye, and it's something that's everywhere right now as far as getting coverage, is the fact that there's glitches on the game, the release date game. There's a couple glitches. One that I didn't mention to you guys. There's one feature right now that you could be playing a game and something happens, and then your player gets sucked up into the sky and disappears. So it's like anti-gravity.
For that play, or like for the rest of the game?
For that play. Like all of a sudden there's a player and then you just see him beam up.
Rapture.
Right. So that's one. And then the other one that caught my attention, and I think it's funny, is the fact that they made the way they developed this game. I mean, there's massive amounts of data for players, including players that are in the initial roster and then go to practice squads. They still include them because they're part of the NFL Players Association. So as part of their contract, they have to include everybody. These guys that are just practice squad guys, they just get the major characteristics of the person, but they don't really go and scan their faces to make them look like the character. But one of the guys that they entered, whenever they were entering this major database, the guy, I think, is 6'1". It's a linebacker. I think he's in Dallas right now. But when the game got entered, he was in the practice squad for the Titans. But he's a linebacker, and accidentally, I guess somebody entered him as like 1 inch 1 or something like that, or 6 inches 1. So they, and I guess as the game creates, it uses those characteristics to develop the body of the guy. So there's this mini linebacker, and there's plenty of funny videos. Huge, like right now, trending videos on YouTube about this character and what people are doing with the thing. The guy whose likeness is this character, he's just enjoying it, enjoying all the. I mean, this is a guy, a third stringer or fourth stringer linebacker for I think it's for the Cowboys now.
But I mean,
the crap out of it.
In the 64, everybody wanted to play Odd Job. For GoldenEye, sorry, I should have gave that.
Yeah.
Because
64.
because he was small and he was hard to hit. So if you could give this guy the ball and he's difficult to hit, he could be a stealth tackler.
Yeah.
So this might be a huge asset to his usability.
Now the question is, and EA hasn't made as of the little digging that I did before this, so don't quote me on this, due to timeline. Is they haven't announced an update that fixes the glitch yet.
They'll fix this. Too much public attention.
Yeah, but I'm hoping they fix it and then they leave it as a, if you enter this cheat code or if you earn this many points, you can get your, short Ant-Man look like linebacker back. So that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, well, that's what it would be like when Ant-Man the game.
We watched a video together of the player. And we had to watch the video 3 times before I even saw him. Like, where is he? I don't see him.
Let's commentary your need for glasses.
I don't need glasses.
That's what you keep saying.
Shut up.
All right, moving on to the next topic that we have of the week with movies. Mention, I guess, just to continue the trend that we talked about before, Frozen is a huge hit for Disney. Disney continues to... I wouldn't say milk it, but definitely use it for their attention to continue the buzz.
Keep it alive.
Yeah, keep it alive, continue the buzz. I think as we speak tonight, there's a special on ABC of behind the scenes of Frozen, how it was made. So it's the story of the animators and how the Frozen has actually a pretty decent story. Frozen was the thorn in the side for Walt Disney. It was the movie that forever he tried to make, but he could never get the story right. Then it lived on to the 90s, where the revival of the Disney animation with the 90s characters, that was also an idea that just could never get done. And then it died again. And then it got revived by these by the creators who eventually made this movie.
Well, in the original fairy tale, isn't Elsa like a true villain and not like a sympathetic?
Yeah, she is the Snow Queen, and the Snow Queen does exactly what this movie kind of was trying to be, which is, she freezes everything, and then people have to go after her to try to convince her to unfreeze crap. So that's the original. I think it's a Christensen story.
I think it's Hans Zimmer.
Hans Christensen. I guess the news is that Disney announced we're going to have a short in 2015 for Frozen. Everybody, all the voice cast is coming back. All your favorite characters. Plus, it's going to feature one new full-length song by the same creators and writers of the originals.
They did this with Tangled. There was a short after Tangled where Flynn and Rapunzel got married.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that was not a huge, oh my god, runaway success. So, I mean, this new team does have some precedent with doing these post-movie shorts to kind of remind people and keep it in the public eye. But definitely
I like the
Frozen
Toy Story shorts. Those are great. I mean, that's Pixar, of course, but I love those.
Well, I guess Frozen, big buzz. They want to continue.
They will never let it go.
They will not.
So, for this week's casting news, long speculation, Rock has been attached to DC, and he finally comes up, and he will be playing Black Adam.
Who?
Black Adam is the nemesis villain frenemy of Captain Marvel or Shazam. Who? I know.
Captain Marvel is a DC character?
So, Basically, Black Adam and Captain Marvel both got their powers from a wizard who imbued them. Whenever they say the word Shazam, they will then go from being mortals to Superman clones. Flight, strength, speed, intelligence.
So both of them say the word Shazam, and they get their. Wow, that's going to be one confusing movie.
Because the wizard originally chose Black Adam to be his guardian.
Okay.
And then Black Adam, I think he's old. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, obviously comic book stories change, but I think most popular canon, like, he was old, like Egyptian old. And then he became corrupt. Like, he never went back to human form. He just stays in Black Adam superhero mode all the time. So he's kind of, like, never ages and is almost, like, immortal in that sense. Obviously, if you drop a huge piano on him, he'll still perish. But then he ends up, like, instead of just protecting his country, he wants to rule it, and that kind of becomes his calling. So later on, modern day time, the wizard chooses Billy Batson to be his champion, and that's where kind of Captain Marvel comes from. So I think The Rock definitely has the physique for the role. I think that maybe him not being the protagonist would be good, because I think I think he can be enjoyable, like in the Fast films, because he's not the main character. Like, I don't know if he necessarily has the acting chops to pull off his own film. I say that, but I did enjoy The Rundown.
I mean, he's definitely great with comedic timing. I think that's definitely his strong suit. Is that and his charm. So it'll be weird to see him in a villain role, but as a frenemy, maybe it would be more along his lines.
Oh, frenemy. I love how we're using the word frenemy. To me, I think it's got, a big announcement where we have an idea for a movie we want to make. No one's written the story yet. No one knows if it's going to work. We already casted this guy. We're going to make a movie, and that's it. I don't know. You would think that something like this would make a bigger buzz than it's making.
I think it's all the lead up. Like, I mean, people have said this before. He's Dwayne Johnson's talked about this. He's talked about being Jon Stewart. I think there were even hints about him being Doomsday. This has been in the hopper for so long and so much speculation that, I think one time he was even speculated he was Aquaman. So, I mean, unless, like, something really at a left
field. I think
it
was even before they announced Ben Affleck as Batman when he first went into his talks with DC, because the first photo he released was him wearing a Batman t-shirt, like, with showing his muscles. Everyone was like, what's he trying to tell us? So it's a long build-up, long gestating.
So they did it to themselves. But I think multiple contracts. I think that he might be the enemy for the first film, and then he will join and be a reluctant ally as an even greater bad guy comes.
Any chance that we see him in this Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie?
Sure, why not? Everybody else is in it.
It seems like it. I honestly, whenever they announce it,
I don't know if he would be in it though.
That to me is the only sound reasoning to make that announcement. So when he shows up in the movie, people know exactly who the heck this guy is playing. That's what I thought of when I heard the news. Why else would you cast somebody so early on?
Post credits,
maybe.
But you're right. I think Marvel has a plan and they're sticking to it, and they have this long intertwined tale that they're trying to tell, and they do have like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and it seems very calculated and in chunks. And DC does seem very catch up, hurry up. Oh my gosh, who can we get? Oh, let's get this guy. Let's get that guy. Oh, okay, we got these guys. Now let's try and make a movie of it. I mean, normally you're absolutely right. You do write a role and then say who would be a good fit for this character that we created. It does seem kind of reverse and like.
Have you guys heard any confirmation on Joaquin Phoenix at all? It's been more rumors, but it looks like it's
like left talks and is now back in or something.
I don't care.
The rumor disappeared and
resurfaced. The rumor is that Joaquin Phoenix will play Doctor Strange for Marvel, be their Sorcerer Supreme.
We had talked about.
He's a good actor, but I mean, I don't personally care about all this casting news, and I know we do an entertainment weekly podcast, but like there's kind of a point where it's like, God, this is way too in the weeds. Like, I don't know if the public should know this much or should care this much, and I don't know, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who interviews or how many people get the job.
And Marvel's pretty trustworthy at this point, so does it?
One thing
really
that Marvel has done so well is casting. So, and I think with this choice also, it's going to be pretty good choice if they end up going after him. Something I saw the other, just spoilers, leaks, whatever. Stop it for a minute if you don't want to hear anything about this Batman v Superman, and it doesn't really spoil anything other than, So Jesse Eisenberg. There's a picture of Jesse Eisenberg that got somebody took a picture of a set picture, and it's Jesse Eisenberg with a towel on his head. Some of the biggest rumors or the biggest questions have been: is he bald? Does he have like bright red hair? Does he have Jesse Eisenberg hair? Does anyone care? But it seems that they're making they already said. Loosely said that somebody involved with the production loosely said that he will have hair, he will be a new interpretation of the character Lex Luthor. But to me, that picture is like, all right, why are they covering the dude's head?
I think he should be bald. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care. Whatever.
Maybe he loses it during the movie.
But Lex Luthor being bald is such an iconic look, and that's such a part of him.
It'll be a waste if they do it otherwise.
I mean, it's just kind of like, what's the point? Like, I guess you're telling your own story. Maybe Jesse Eisenberg looks funny with a bald head. But, I mean, it's not like they're taking Henry Cavill and, like, dyeing his hair blonde because, we're trying to tell a different story. No, I'm going to cast somebody who looks like Superman. So...
Sure. I just thought it was interesting, the fact that they're... I don't know, with this movie, and again, with this announcement with The Rock... It seems to be the pattern. I'm just trying to get motivated to get motivated behind this movie. I'm not getting it yet. So.
Well, a movie that you have no problems being motivated for is Yoga Hosers.
That's right.
And Stan Lee is going to have a role in it.
Yeah, and a cameo. So Stan Lee, big cameos on all his creations, Marvel superhero movies. Some of the first cameos by Stan Lee in mainstream movies was actually in a Kevin Smith movie, Mallrats, in the, mid-90s, 96, I think is when that movie came out.
I would say earlier, because then X-Men came out like 99?
2000.
It's close enough.
No, I think...
Filmed in 99.
It's or maybe...
Mallrats, 95.
95. Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. But anyways, that was some of his first ones. So, Yoga Hosers is going to be the sequel to this... or the second part of the Canadian True North. Is it True North? True North trilogy. So it's a movie he's already making. He's already shooting. And one of the pictures that he posed, that Kevin Smith posted, was the Stan Lee cameo. He's going to be a security guard sitting down talking on the phone. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's one movie that just, the more I hear about it, the more motivated Tusk comes out in 2 weeks.
What?
I know. It premieres this weekend, I believe. Premieres this weekend in Toronto, and then it premieres the week after in Austin, Texas, and then it gets released I guess.
I'm excited for that one.
Worldwide, but it should be pretty cool. The big announcement with the Johnny Depp now being involved with this, it definitely added more feel to this movie. Something that thought when it was initially pitched that it was going to be kind of a very independent, no one's heard of it movie. It seems that it's getting enough buzz, so that's pretty cool.
So, all right, sounds good. Now it's time for Topic of the Week.
That's right.
And this week's topic is all around your favorite member of the NerdEXP crew.
Perfect.
Drew.
Yay.
We're going to ask him lots of questions, and he's going to talk. Or we're going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes.
One of the two.
So Drew went to Dragon Con, which is one of the larger conventions.
Largest in the Southeast.
I believe the second largest in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
After Comic-Con.
So who were the big people that you saw? Like, actually went to panels?
Well, started there. What made you go again this year?
Dragon Con is awesome.
Okay. So
I mean, I went 4 years ago for the first time. Or I guess 3 years ago. This was my 4th year.
Okay.
Going. Friends invited me, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. It just kind of blew me away. The only convention I'd ever been to was a small, one kind of a warehouse room convention in Orlando. No one huge was there. A small number of people. It was a horror convention. I went to that with friends as well. I'm not that into horror, so. And this one was just like, wow. Dragon Con is tens of thousands of people. It's ridiculous. It's downtown Atlanta.
Their convention center is like
yeah,
humongous. And
I mean,
they just use it for that.
It's 5 hotels at this point. I know it's definitely gotten bigger, and it's gotten bigger as I've been going just over the past 4 years. But they're using 5 hotels now in downtown Atlanta. 3 of them are connected. So, and those are the main 3. That's where all the most of the big stuff happens in the main 3.
Did you wear the Megazord costume?
No,
that you wanted to?
I did not. Unfortunately, no, I didn't put that together.
You have a year to prepare for next.
That's right, and I've already bought my ticket for 2015, so
wow.
you get a good deal. In the past, I've seen it 50%, like half off. It was a little less than maybe 45%, 40% off this time around. So I went ahead and bought that. It's just a great all around, and you get to see, you watch your panels, you're waiting in line, and you meet a lot of new people. Like, I actually talk to strangers, which is rare for me. And if it were me by myself, probably wouldn't have. But,
you're talking to millions of strangers right now.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
So big names that you saw this year,
big names,
or that were there at least.
I'll start with the one that. Kind of, they didn't let me down per se, but I was let down by the situation. Is Terry Gilliam? He's a pretty big director. He's writer-director of Monty Python films, and he's known for a lot of Stranger movies, 12 Monkeys.
Oh wow!
It's okay. So why did he let you down? Or the situation?
But basically, James Gunn and Sean Gunn were also there.
Oh wow!
And the way our schedule, like, you gotta pick and choose what you're gonna watch. So it came down to, after we pick and choose everything else we were gonna see, the Terry Gilliam panel and the James Gunn Sean Gunn panel were at the exact same time. So, and I was the one who was leaning more towards Terry Gilliam because I mean.
You think they would?
Sean Gunn and James Gunn were a big thing. It's like new, and it's just happening basically with Guardians of the Galaxy. So people I was with really want to see that. I want to see Terry Gilliam. So we decided to go see Sean Gunn and James Gunn, and Terry Gilliam was going to make a guest appearance in like this game show that they have at night. He came out for one skit, lasted 2 minutes. So I was a little upset, but I'll save this for last. But the Sean Gunn James Gunn panel was definitely the best panel in the entire 4 years I've been there. So
wow,
I'm glad I went to that. But anyway, that's what I saw at Terry Gilliam. He came out. The game show, by the way, is called the Gonzo Quiz Show, and it's
the Muppets.
It's hilarious. No, it has nothing to do with the Muppet. I don't think the name comes from that anyway. I don't know how it originated, but it's basically a lot of voice actors, a lot of Adult Swim voice actors.
No James Arnold Taylor.
The hosts, no James Arnold Taylor.
Wow.
He's not written necessarily for this crowd.
Okay.
I mean, it's a late night. Anything after 10 p.m. I think for Dragon Con is like 18 plus.
Okay.
I mean, not a guarantee, but there's a lot of that going on. And I mean, this Gonzo Quiz Show is mostly just adult language.
Okay.
But the 2 hosts, they do a podcast. I don't remember what it was called, unfortunately, but they work on a podcast out in Seattle. But they get guests, Dragon Con guests to come out and compete against each other on teams, and it's kind of like a Whose Line Is It Anyway sort of thing, where they give them skits or challenges. And there's one where they ask every panel before the show. They ask every contestant a truth, like a strange truth about their life, like an event in their life or whatever, and they either give in an envelope the truth to that person or a lie they made up about that person. And that person has to read it and then convince the other team that it's true. If it's a lie, and if it's the truth, they have to kind of tell it as a truth, but make them think that they're lying. Which is, I mean, basically, you want to make them guess wrong. You want to make them guess wrong, and so that's really funny. And then there's this, I forget what they call it, but they play a song, and the person has to sing along with the song. Then they cut the song off, and the person keeps singing, and eventually they turn the song back on, and then they win the challenge if they're still in time with the song and they're at the right lyrics. And that's really funny. Then they have skits, which is where the Whose Line Is It Anyway element comes in.
Okay.
So anyway, for the skit on the show we watched, they had a guest appearance from Terry Gilliam. He came out. I was convinced he was acting. The people I was with thought he was really drunk, but he was acting like ridiculously drunk and just swaying back and forth. And he had a drink in his hand, and he just basically had to read from a piece of paper they gave him. It looked way too over the top to me. I think he was acting, which is fine. I mean, it was funny. And he's like a 60, 70-year-old man at this point.
Yeah.
So.
I listened to the behind-the-scenes commentary for How I Met Your Mother, and in the episode where Ted Mosby takes like 5 shots and forgets the pineapple incident, the actor, I can't remember his name, is like, the trick to acting like you're drunk is to try and act like you're not drunk. Because you know how when you are drunk, you're always like, I'm not drunk.
Yeah.
So just kind of underplay everything a little bit. So if he was
not doing,
if he was sloshing around, I think he might have been pandering and trying to be a little silly.
Yeah, I mean, he's a weird guy. If you've seen his movies, you know he's kind of quirky. So
did you learn anything?
Not from the Gonzo Quiz Show, but I'll just say right now, if you do ever go to Dragon Con, and you can go to the Gonzo Quiz Show, it's definitely like laugh out loud.
Okay.
The funniest moment of the entire con.
How crowded are these things? I mean, is it like you gotta wait like an hour before the event?
You can if you want to be close, yeah.
Okay.
The quiz show I've seen not fill up, but stuff like, I'm sure Terry Gilliam filled up, Sean Gunn and James Gunn was full. And see, the first big panel I went to would have been Carl Urban and Peter Weller, and it was labeled New Trek because they were in Star Trek Into Darkness together.
Okay.
But Peter Weller is most known for RoboCop, so he talked a lot about that. No new news from them, no Easter eggs or anything like that. The highlight of that panel was, I mean, and Peter Weller's talks like he's on drugs the whole time, and talked a lot. Like Carl Urban, like the first half of the panel, Carl Urban barely spoke, and I think that's what most people were there to see. Was Carl Urban, and Peter Weller just wouldn't shut up. And he kept grabbing his head and covering his eyes. Maybe a little bit of how he is on stage, but it was just weird. And he talked about being a hippie in the 60s, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're on something right now. But anyway, finally Carl Urban got to talking. He told a really, really funny story about working with Viggo Mortensen on Lord of the Rings. Because Carl Urban was one of the Rohan writers, the main...
Yeah, he was the one who left and then came back.
The brother of... Eowyn or Arwen, I don't know.
Really?
I thought Arwen was Liv Tyler. But whatever.
Well, there's like Eowyn and Arwen, the two girls.
Okay.
It's the blonde girl that's not the elf. It's her brother. But anyway, yeah, he's supposedly close with Viggo Mortensen, and Viggo Mortensen, like he's known in the media for kind of being a jerk, but apparently he's a huge prankster. And one night, Carl Urban got a call from his agent freaking out because she thought Carl Urban wasn't going to get on the plane to fly to New Zealand because he didn't have his lucky socks. And she's like, we're going to get you the socks, so you have to get on a plane or whatever. And Carl Urban was like, what are you talking about? and he said that she paused and went, Viggo. Supposedly, Viggo called Carl Urban's agent pretending to be Carl Urban and told him that he didn't have his lucky socks and he was not going to get on the plane. Sorry. If he didn't get his socks or whatever, and the agent was freaking out. So 10 years later, Carl Urban got a chance to get Viggo back. He was doing press in Spain for something, and Viggo was also in Spain at the time. So Carl Urban said to his interviewers after the interview was over and they were off the record supposedly, he told them that he was going to visit Viggo Mortensen somewhere up north in Spain, where his friend Vigo just bought a goat farm with like hundreds of goats or something. It's just a small like little inception, just he planted the seed, and supposedly it went onto the news that Viggo Mortensen bought a goat farm, and when Viggo Mortensen was asked about it, he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and eventually found out that it was Carl Urban that planted the rumor. And
that's pretty cool. And
both Peter Weller and Carl Urban talked about working on Star Trek as being the most fun experience they've ever had in making movies. So, and they talked a lot about that. So that made me wish I could be on set of a J.J. Abrams production. But and based on what they said, has me even more hopeful and trusting of the new Star Wars movie. So that's that. And I did try to see Carl Urban at their Walk of Fame, is where they, celebrities will go and sit at a table and you can get autographs and talk to them or whatever.
And autographs are free, right? Because you're a fan and you've been there and you help out.
It's not free.
What?
No. The bigger stars will charge a lot of money. Carl Urban was $65.
That's not a lot of money.
No, it's a lot. I mean,
okay.
And I didn't pay for it.
Big names,
but I just wanted to get his picture with my cell phone.
Isn't he?
He's Bones in Star Trek.
Bones in Star Trek. Yeah.
Yes.
What's his name?
He's Dredd in the Judge Dredd remake.
Oh,
Henry McCoy? No,
yeah,
he's
Hank.
No,
that's Beast.
That's the Beast.
That's Beast.
McCoy?
It's McCoy.
Yeah, it's
but I don't know his
McCoy.
first name.
Okay.
But and I just wanted to. I was just going to get a picture because I know
that's probably
$200. No, it was. Well, the thing is that they weren't allowing pictures, so I got out of line. I was like, because for the bigger celebrities, you go to a different room, which is like in the basement, where you pay a lot of money to get a professional photo taken, and they weren't allowing pictures at his table. So I was like, screw this. I just wanted to text it to a friend who was obsessed with Carl Urban and wanted to make him jealous.
What? I don't think they should charge photographs. And they don't. I mean,
some don't. You
they
can go to a comic artist and get it for free because
they're not big.
Yeah.
I mean, they should also have a right to say, hey, I just really want to go to dinner, or hey, I've signed 50 autographs today. I'm so sorry, But I mean, I don't know, you're a fan. Their whole career exists because of you. You pay to go to DragonCon. DragonCon pays for them to show up. It just seems kind of more salt in the wound, and I don't know.
Well, it's definitely to prevent an overflow, to get to keep thousands of people from waiting in line to try and get an autograph.
Does it though?
Yeah, I mean,
everybody has $60 to go see.
Yeah,
get a signature of a guy.
A lot of people don't care. I don't even really want to walk up to celebrities' tables and talk to them. Someone we go with every year, he likes to just go up and talk to them, and he just wants to talk to the ones that don't have long lines. And I got nothing to say to them really. There's nothing. I'm not like him. I can't just go up and have a conversation.
Will I talk to them?
Have I what?
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Is the conversation the same that I had with the cashier at the grocery store? It's hey, how's it going? How's your day been? No, that's cool. Or is it
it's a little more involved in whatever that person's involved in, shows or whatever. And but yeah, it's basically small talk. And some of them get upset when you go up there and don't buy anything, and are annoyed with someone trying to make small talk with them. The guy who plays Data in Next Generation Star Trek. I saw him go up to him, and he was just completely ignoring my friend while he's talking to him. And he's supposedly known for being a pretty big jerk too. So some of them just don't give a shit.
They're obviously there to get paid.
Yeah,
they're not there for the fans. It's a job, and maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. This is legitimately a job for them. This is this is their likeness, and that's how they're going to make their money. And they don't really do it for the fan support.
Yeah,
I saw this documentary called Galaxy Quest. And some of those guys went to the convention and didn't really believe in it.
Yeah.
They just did it for the flow of cash. So
this historical. Historical.
I was sad. Was it Lou Ferrigno? I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but the Hulk from the '70s TV show. He had a table there, and there was nobody in line to see him.
No.
I was apparently he's there every year. So a lot of people who are there every year, they've seen him before or whatever. But it was kind of sad to see.
Oh man,
it's that's a guy I recognize. We're that's a guy I recognize, and there's nobody there. So that was weird.
All right.
But yeah, instead.
So you pulled an evening news. You gave us the best story, and then you saved it for the end. Mm-hmm. So what happened at the gun panel?
So yeah, I mean, this is one we waited over 2 hours to get into, and it was full. We were fairly close. We got there really. I mean, we learned our lesson with the Carl Urban. We got to Carl Urban a little late, and we were pretty far in the back. But I think this one was right after Carl Urban, so we basically got right back in line. And they don't officially open the line until they've filled the room for whatever show's going on. So there are people waiting in a crowd before the line even starts lining up. So you don't even know how close you're going to be, even if you get there first, because people will jump in front of you. But yeah, we got to the front of the line, not the very front, the front area, and that was cool. So we got in, we were close. Sean Gunn, James Gunn came out together. Before they came out, they had the crowd. They said the panel they were in the day before, the crowd did the Ooga Chaka or whatever to chant them out. And they wanted to do something different, so they had us all singing Ooh Child, Things Are Gonna Get Easier.
Oh, yeah.
The whole audience was singing that, so that was cool. And they came out, and everyone started cheering. Got really excited. And James Gunn started off the panel by asking the audience to say into his phone while he recorded them that Michael Rooker sucks or something like that. He's like good friends with Michael Rooker, I don't know. So I didn't speak. I was hoping to be, because I was kind of close to the front. I was hoping that I would be just sitting there like everyone else screaming around me while I'm just looking at the camera. But and I watched the video on Instagram. I'm cut off. I'm not in the shot, unfortunately, because there's 3 sections. There's the middle and then the sides. He only had the middle in the shot, so he didn't move around. But that was still cool. He was definitely really into controlling the crowd and getting them excited and stuff. And they're both really funny. He and his brother. They had a moderator or whatever, but there weren't a lot of questions from the moderator. They basically just opened it up to the floor. People just started asking questions from the audience. There was some stuff there was an uncomfortable one where someone asked about the future of female heroes in the Marvel Galaxy or Marvel Universe, Cinematic Universe, and James Gunn was able to kind of play that off and be like, well, he's like, I can assure you Marvel's working on that, blah blah blah, but all I'm focusing on is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't need any human or Earth characters in my future films. I want to keep Chris Pratt is the only Earthling in the stories or whatever. So he's like, whatever heroes that Marvel wants to introduce, they're working on it, blah blah blah. And
good for him. I mean, Kevin Feige has that blueprint locked tight. I mean, even if Gunn was like, hey, I really want this character, male, female, whatever, Feige would probably look at his chart and be like, nope, they are booked for their appearance in 2022 to be headlining this movie.
It was interesting. James Gunn pronounced his last name Feige, which I thought was the
James
first time.
Feige?
No. Kevin Feige, which I thought was pretty interesting. I never heard that pronounced that way, but I don't know. Coming from him, it must be right?
Yeah.
He's met the guy. So I was like, oh, is that how it's pronounced? So
did James Gunn do the Groot dance?
He did not.
Nobody asked?
No, nobody asked him. Nobody asked him to do it.
Dance.
Yeah, he's the one. He did the
mocap
for the Groot dance.
Nah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He talked about Groot. There was actually almost an emotional point in the panel where he was talking about Rocket Raccoon and how he was the emotional core of the film and all this. And
did they go into the creator, the artist who created Rocket?
No.
Okay.
Nothing that wasn't in the movie, really.
Okay.
Not too much that wasn't in the movie.
There.
And people asked about, I can't remember Guardians 2, and he's just like, I don't want to give anything away. Blah, blah,
Hey, who's
blah.
Peter's dad?
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm going to tell you
There
now.
was one,
because you asked.
One thing, I got to remember this because it was a huge deal. One thing he said, someone asked, they mentioned, Michael Rooker's character or whatever wanted the orb, the jewel or whatever, to give to the whoever was hired to get it to him, and,
right?
And then,
but he was
Drax wanted to get it to the the Ronin guy or whatever, and they're like, and he's like, who there seems to be a third party after the orb or whatever it was, and he's like, would you be able to tell us who that was? And James Gunn was, he just smiled and he's like, he's like, I'll tell you this, and he's like, I've not said this publicly, but if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy again, there are hints as to who hired whatever the museum curator, not the collector, but like the guy that Rooker's trying to get the orb to.
I just always assumed it was the collector.
It's not.
That
Supposedly
he
it's not.
hired.
Oh wow!
So
whatever.
there's like a third party or whatever. I don't remember all the connections that the person asking the question mentioned, but yeah. So supposedly there are hints in the movie about who hired that guy in the white suit, whoever he was.
The broker.
The broker. That's right.
I saw the movie twice, and I'm
So did I.
I'm not like extremely well versed in my Marvel cosmic background, so maybe there were hints. But if it was a character that I would know and recognize, I did not catch any hints whatsoever. Like I said, I
definitely wouldn't myself. So.
I thought it was the collector who.
I mean,
was
just
working through multiple channels.
Just being there and listening to him talk about the movie makes me want to see it again. I don't care if I pick up on who that is or whatever. But and then there was another Dragon Con exclusive or whatever where he told us, which has already been out on the internet, and I've read, James Gunn said this at Dragon Con, was that they had a different idea for the Stan Lee cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was that Stan Lee was going to be, as himself, Stan Lee, a part of the collector's collection in his museum, and he was going to be in one of the tubes, just sitting there, and they show the scene where Rocket looks at Cosmo. Is that the dog's name?
Yeah.
Cosmo the dog, and then Groot looks into a tube and sees Stan Lee sitting there, and Stan Lee flicks him off.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
So, but Disney
said no.
makes that, and like he actually filmed that, but Stan Lee wasn't able to go for health reasons or something. So they had a double sitting there, and they were going to put Stan Lee's face on afterward. So he said he was going to post on Instagram for all of us to see, like the shots, the pictures he had of the double sitting in the tube flicking off Groot. But
I'm okay that they didn't do that. I mean, and not that I'm against flipping off, but I don't know, just like Stan Lee's cameo is supposed to be like cute and fun, and that seems like
that definitely would have been funny. I can definitely see a whole theater cracking up over that.
mean spirited, flipping off poor Groot. Anything else from Dragon Con that you want to mention?
No Power Rangers at all?
There were some Samurai Rangers there.
Oh, those don't even count.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mighty Morphin or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, those are the most popular people I saw. I went to other panels as well. They had, I don't remember the guy's name, but he did Beekman from Beekman's World. There was like a
Bill Nye
ripoff type of stuff, yeah.
Huh.
He is apparently a ventriloquist, and he did a puppet show. We actually missed the puppet show. We got to his show late, but we got to hear him talk about, and he wanted like criticism from the audience, and he was taking suggestions and criticism from the audience, and so we got to sit there and listen to that. But I did not recognize him at all. He's like an old man with no hair and like a white beard, and I was like,
That's how,
I was
how
like,
people work,
that's not Beekman, is it? And I was told, yeah, that's him. He's old now, and I was like, wow. I never watched Beekman, but I've seen pictures of him, and yeah, it didn't look like him at all. I was pretty surprised there. I mean, there's a lot of smaller panels you can go to with like authors of books you've never heard of, just talking about writing, publishing, and all that stuff. And like, if you're interested in ever doing that, you can get a lot of advice, information from these people. We usually like to go to those late at night. Like we'll just pick a random thing in the basement somewhere and just sit in, and you can see some funny 18 plus panels going around late at night. So it's pretty interesting. And I mean, a highlight of the trip is definitely people watching. Like you just sit in the lobby of the big hotel and
some
watch
of the pictures you sent,
costumes
those were pretty cool.
go around. Yeah,
And there's plenty of pictures online of
The
innovative people.
Yeah, and there were some good Guardians of the Galaxy costumes. The biggest one by far this year, I think, was Captain America, the Winter Soldier costume. And there were a lot of Winter Soldiers as well, but Captain America was
Any dragon
freaking
swords?
everywhere. Saw no dragon swords. No, I didn't. The only Power Rangers thing I saw were people in Power Rangers suits. So
Well, you convinced me to go to Dragon Con next year, Joe.
Yeah, I think we'll join
no,
in.
it's super fun. It's definitely. I mean, it's pricey. The hotel prices are jacked up big time, but it's worth it.
Honestly, I did not know James Gunn was going to be in it.
I didn't know until like a week before.
Holy crap!
I was shocked.
Like, that would have made me want to go more.
Yeah, it was the best panel I've been doing the 4 years that I've been there. It was.
Did he talk about the music?
Super
at all?
exciting.
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot. People asked a lot about the music. I mean, I'm not into music,
right?
Especially pop music, and so and he even made a point to make a nod to the composer. He's like, yeah, we have this awesome
Tyler Bass
score by Tyler Bass.
Yeah, he's awesome. That score is fantastic. I listen to it all the time.
So yeah, they definitely talked a lot about the music, and people asked him if he had ideas for his Awesome Mix Volume 2, and he's like, heck yeah, I do. But he didn't reveal anything, of course. But, yeah.
Good thing he said heck, because it was not.
No, he didn't even say he didn't even say hell or heck. I'm just saying that, but that's just the idea conveyed. So cool. Yes, he does, of course.
Well, did you guys go to Dragon Con? You guys out there in podcast land? Are you going to go next year? Let us know. You can email us at nerdexp@gmail.com if you want to hear more of Drew's exploits and pictures and whatnot. You can follow him on Twitter at Iraqweatherworld.
You said world forward.
You can follow me on Twitter at NerdEXP. You can follow Guillermo. If you can find where he lives. That is not a challenge. Never mind. Just don't follow Guillermo.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, thank you, Memo. Thank you, Drew. And thank you for listening. I hope we help you with your nerd IQ this week. Level up, friends.